I feel like Charlie Brown when Lucy keeps pulling that football away. You know, like, today's the day I'm going to kick that football. And then she fucking yanks that football and Charlie goes flying through the air and lands on his head. Yeah. That's how I feel.
It's going to be the way it is, too. I mean, I think they'll actually kick out the door. I don't think this time around, I don't think they can hold any more documents. They don't have that many left to hold.
Well,
right?
I think they just found thousands of new documents.
They found 2,400 more. That is actually a good way. They found, the FBI says, oh, look at this. You know, what they did was they did a review. They started in 2020 and they said, okay, all our closed cases, we're going to start, compiling all of them in one place. Why weren't they doing that 40 years ago, 50 years ago? How do you not do that? Right? Have a central repository. Anyway, so they said, well, this is what we're going to do. So they did, and they said, we're updating the way that we digitize and hold on to all our records. And during the course of that, then when Trump issued his executive order about the release of the files, and also for RFK and MLK, then the Bureau says, well, we were able to, because we'd done this digitizing and this way of tracking our records, we were able to find 2,400 documents that are related that we just didn't know about. So there's those, and then there's maybe 5,000 other documents left that haven't been released.
Well, Trump was quoted as saying that if you saw what they showed me, you wouldn't release it either.
Right.
What does that mean?
You know,
what can that mean?
It's a really good question. Here's what I think. I think, and I don't. Obviously, I don't know what's in those documents either.
Wait a minute, you don't?
Well, remember, I was a toddler when he was shot, and although that would have been the perfect cover, right? Because nobody's fucking looking for a toddler to come behind
with
that
a microphone, magnifying glass,
come off that grassy knoll.
Right? Well, what could? I mean, it's not like they're going to say in the documents we did it, right? Like, so what could the documents have that would be so incriminating that they wouldn't want to release them? Like, what would you document if you assassinated the president? We'd say, well, me and Mike were sitting over here on the grassy knoll.
And then I think some of the documents, the redactions are really pedestrian. Like, they've redacted in the old days, redacted a person's name who was an investigator or a social security number of somebody who was interviewed.
But there's whole
or
pages
like
that are redacted.
Right. I mean, so there's like
those are like weird.
Yeah,
like,
there's
what's going on
I think
there?
they held on to, Biden administration held on to like 2,000 some odd documents.
In 2017, they were supposed to release them.
Right.
And then this was when the Trump administration didn't do it, and that's when people got mad.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, you said you were going to do it. And this time they are saying they're going to do it. And then they got this hot lady who's involved in all this, which is odd.
It does. Well, again.
Why'd they pick her?
Why'd they pick her?
Is she, a JFK expert?
I think she's an assassination expert.
Well, it's not just assassination. Yeah. She's in charge of UFOs too, right?
Right, and Epstein and all the rest. I think what we're going to find is, this is just me speculating, obviously, but I think what we're going to find with the released documents is, A, there's no smoking gun. B, it's not going to stop people from believing what they believe. It's not going to put anything to rest. And I think also there probably will be, one of the reasons I think some of these things were withheld was because it's embarrassing perhaps to the CIA and the FBI also in terms of their collaboration. Look, Lee Harvey Oswald was on their radar for good reasons, right? For counterintelligence reasons. He had lived over in Minsk. He'd defected to the Soviet Union. He'd lived over there for 3 years. Came back. So that in alone puts him on the radar, right? Now suddenly he's a CI concern. So the CIA is definitely monitoring him. And then he goes down he to Mexico. He goes to the Cuban and Soviet embassies, right? He's desperate to get involved in the revolution, even though he's the Soviets by that time had decided he's a complete loser. And I think
is that the narrative, though? I mean, do we know what they really decided?
Well, I think I'm just speaking again from experience in the intelligence community. At a certain point, you look at somebody and go, "There's nothing here. This person is more of a liability than an asset."
Well, wouldn't that be the perfect person to make a patsy?
Well, unless they decided the guy is just unstable. Look, I mean, reportedly, he was finally granted permission to exist in the Soviet Union after he tried to kill himself. When they said they were going to send him back, he couldn't stay there. Right?
How did he try to kill himself? What did he do?
No idea. I don't know that part of it, but I think it's. So my point is that I think he was on the radar. And I think what happened was, in the documents we may find that the CIA, at the time, was not proactive enough, and they didn't work well with the FBI. There was real friction between those two. And I think that, if they had brought in the FBI, informed them, said, look, we've got the Cuban embassy and the Soviet embassy down in Mexico under observation. We've had this guy on our radar for some time. He's now come back to Dallas and New Orleans. He's back in the States. We've got to keep an eye on him. Right? I think if they had done that, maybe history changes. But I don't think they did. Obviously.
Yeah, but this is assuming that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, which
right,
I'm not buying into.
Under this scenario, yes.
I'm not buying that at all.
But I think that's what we're going to see in some of this documentation.
Well, if Trump really did say that if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't release it either, it has to be something. And that something might be a second shooter.
Well, it's not...
more.
I agree, because Trump has never been known to say anything hyperbolic. So, there's a chance that he was, I don't know.
Okay, he attempted suicide, a striking indication of how much he desired to remain in the Soviet Union. Showed how willing he was dramatically and decisively when he faced an emotional crisis with few readily available alternatives at hand. He was shocked to find that the Soviet Union did not accept him with open arms. The entry in his self-styled historic diary for October 21st, 1959 reports, "I am shocked," 2 exclamation points. "My dreams," exclamation point. "I have waited 2 years to be accepted. My fond's dream," I don't even know what that means. Fondest?
Fondest.
It's probably they forgot the T. He can't spell this, fuck. "My fondest dreams are shattered because of a petty official. I decided to end it. Soak fist in cold water to numb the pain, then slash my left wrist." What a pussy. The then plague wrist. Oh,